What's up, guys? It's Jack Burns here, the founder and head coach of Edge Rowing. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the biggest and actually, the simplest ways that you can make sure that you're rowing to the best version of yourself. So, um, this will all be an overview of everything that you can do, and I think the biggest areas that if you get it right, you will be on the fastest path to the best version of yourself. As well, this is true if somebody was full time. It was true for me while I was competing full time, but more so what we found is that it's what matters most for people that are restricted, for people that are training 3, 4, 6, maybe 8 or 9 sessions a week, who are limited, who have other stuff in their life going on, and can't commit to a full-time training program, but want to see what they truly can do with the sport. Maybe they feel like some things aren't quite right with their training right now, and they seem potential in one thing, but lacked performance in another end. So if you go through these things, and I'm going to explain them in a simple way, I'm not going to overcomplicate it or sugarcoat it. You get these things right, you will get faster. Okay. I had a comment in another video talking about how you want shorter form videos. So here you go. Long-term planning, weekly structure, training zones, work on your weak areas, work on your technique, work on your mindset, work on your recovery. There you go. That's it all very short. Look, if you want the shorter explanations, go to my Instagram, check out the videos there. That's shorter form. But if you want the detailed longer form, then stay tuned, because that's what I'm going to go into. So the first one, when we look at bringing on a new athlete, seeing if they're a good fit, and when we speak to them about their training, I don't think I've ever had anybody say yes to this question, but it's, are you doing long-term planning? So I've done videos on this before. Go check them out. I'm going to be touching everything on kind of a basic level here. But yeah, long-term planning is basically managing your recovery long-term and then pushing your load long-term. When you get this right, you're getting the balance right between pushing hard. It's kind of those weeks when you can feel the fatigue build and you can feel yourself get more tired, but you still feel fresh, you feel motivated. You're like, this is the sort of fatigue that I know when I recover from, I'll get faster. So that's one of the results of proper long-term planning. And then the other result is like being able to train consistently and get your weeks where you're recovering well. So I learned this through researching into sports that have investment behind them and have an incentive to get better. Obviously rowing has an incentive, but I just don't think they're doing this as well. This is one thing Dr. Charlie Simpson talks about, author of Advanced Rowing. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know. I just look around. Author of Advanced Rowing. He talks about this is how you structure your year long term. So the big one, without going into the specifics of it, like we do, the simplest way is, I'm going to try and keep to a constant distance from the mic, because I noticed that on the audio it sounded terrible sometimes. The best way that you can go about doing this, simply put, is do a light week, do a medium week, do a heavy week, do a full week, a very heavy week, and cycle through that. Light, medium, heavy. Very heavy refers to the volume that you do. So start with the light week being, figure out what your average session length is and do roughly 50% of that mileage for all your low intensity. Keep your high intensity the same and build. As you go forward, sometimes you might find with a light week to recover properly, if you struggle to recover from high intensity, that you need to take that high intensity session out. Likewise, depending on what you're like, you can maybe keep that intensity in, but build that volume throughout. And then in your heavy week, you should be doing a shitload of training. You should be, well, not a shitload, but as much as you can, really, and you should just feel yourself getting to the end. Like by that Thursday, that Wednesday, you should be feeling like, right, okay, I'm getting pretty tired here, and cycle through that. What we do is we'll look at the sequence of the load, so responding best, how people respond best to it. So, for example, we've got one guy, Frank. He we found that he responds really well to like a really, really heavy week or a really, sorry, my dog barks at literally everything in the clothes here. We found he responds really, really well to, I'll try and keep going, but we'll see. He responds really well to very heavy weeks and then really light weeks. And he hasn't responded as well to the medium weeks. So that's how we found we've been able to dial in his programming. But as I said, when you're starting off on your own, light, medium, heavy, very heavy, you can be very effective with this. Yeah. The other thing with long-term planning is you want to account for travel and for work or holiday, and you want to account for busy periods in work when it gets more stressful, and make sure that you're not doing a heavy week around that. And then if you got a holiday or a wedding or something like that, you can probably afford to push your training before and after that as well. And then you actually need the holidays, which is quite useful when you do it that way. The holidays are beneficial, and you can be on holiday, and if you structured your training right, you can be getting faster throughout that. So yeah, I could do a whole video on this before. I think I have. Go into my YouTube and type in long-term planning after you watch this video, of course, and after you like and subscribe. And so the weekly structure is the next point. This is very simple. Depending on when someone's doing strength training or not, and how much they want to focus on it, that's maybe when you would prioritize having whole days where you just do strength training. But for now, just to keep this simple, I think it gives people a better understanding of how they should balance their training, depending on how many sessions they're doing a week. So if you're doing 3 sessions a week, I would say definitely do one of them as high intensity, very hard, and then you could probably do a second one as also a high intensity session, but you'd want to make sure that you get volume in that as well, so like a long warm up and a long cool down, and then you'd want to have one other session which is like long low intensity session. 4 sessions a week I would do. When you're far away from a competition, I would do 3 low intensity sessions, and 1 high intensity session. And then when you get close to the competition, I would do 2 high intensity sessions and 2 low intensity sessions. If you're doing 6 sessions a week, if you're far away from a competition, I'd probably do 5 low intensity sessions a week, maybe 1 mid intensity session a week and 1 high intensity session a week. If you're getting closer to a competition, you can do 2 or 3 high intensity sessions per week. Charlie Simpson talks about how you shouldn't ever do, if you're going to do 3 high intensity sessions a week, you shouldn't ever do it for more than 8 weeks at a time. Make the rest of the other stuff low intensity. If you're doing on from that, generally I would kind of cap your high intensity sessions a week. So if you're doing 8 sessions a week, or you're doing 12 sessions a week, I would generally keep it at 2 high intensity sessions a week and make everything else low intensity. Again, when you get closer to a competition, you could ramp it up to 3, but I wouldn't do that for more than 8 weeks at a time, because you will start to burn out. You'll start to build up your fatigue, and you'll start to lose the benefit from doing all that good volume work. You can play around with the structure of, maybe doing weights before a high intensity day, or doing a high intensity day before a weights day. I think it's better to do weights before high intensity pretty much always, unless you're really trying to focus on the high intensity training. So the second part of that, of this weekly structure thing, is fitting in weights. If you're going to train, so let's just stick with 6 sessions a week here. I would try and, if you're far away from a competition, you could have 2 of those 6 sessions fully dedicated to weights if you're looking to get stronger, if you found that's a weakness of yours. If you get closer to the competition, I would do like a mini weight session. That's one thing. For example, when one of our athletes, Rick, who this winter, he got like really, really strong by just having mini weight sessions after each of his rows, which just took 20 minutes. So like he would do his shorter training first and then go straight into the mini weights. And it was perfect for him because he was doing it from like 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. before work, and it was working really well for him. And he got put on a good amount of muscle mass just doing that. So that works as well. And then maybe when you get close to the race, you could do that 1 weight session a week Alex Wolf, the strength coach who we had on our podcast. Go and check it out after you watch this video, of course. He says if you start doing weights any less frequently than once every 8 weeks, you will lose significant strength. So make sure that you keep doing that throughout if you're going into summer racing right now. Okay. That's all you need to know. Get that right and you get into that routine and just crush it. If you're struggling with consistency, or you're struggling with results, this is another sign that perhaps your weekly structure isn't right. Training zones. UT2 should feel very easy. Your high intensity should feel very hard. That's the simplest way to describe it. Use your heart rate roughly. It depends for the person. 60, anywhere from 60%, as low as 60%, up to 72% of your max heart rate. As you get older, that's not as reliable as of a metric. You can also use percentage of your 2K watts or percentage of other tests. So 2K, for example, you could do it around 50%. It depends on how efficient you are. So one of our athletes, Adam, his percentage watts were like a good bit lower than for his UT2 were a good bit lower than his 2K. His actual UT2 using his heart rate, the split he was holding for that heart rate was far lower than the split that was 50% of his 2K watts. What we found is that he really needed to work on his like low intensity, and he did, and he just really like low end UT3 almost, and he found good benefit from that by just doing a super easy bike once a week. Yeah, where are we? So that's how you find out your low intensity. The other way that we find out low intensity is looking at the long-term plan. And if people are not getting recovered towards the end of a light week, and we know that their structure is right, and we know that we've taken out their high intensity and they're still not recovering towards the end of a light week, that's another sign that their low intensity speed isn't right. If they are demotivated a lot of the time as well, that's another huge one. If their motivation is never there, then that's a sign that we normally fix that pretty quickly when people come on board. That's a big one. But yeah, generally, if you're low intensity, if your motivation is always low, it's probably a sign your long-term planning isn't right. Less so your weekly structure, but probably your low intensity splits aren't right either. High intensity, go as hard as you can. That's it, basically. One thing we always like to say, the spectrum of a session that you do and do not get benefit. Sorry, I'm trying to because the camera's inverted and I'm trying to move my hands. I keep forgetting it's the other way. You maybe notice that when I go to do my hair that I see something here and then I go like that and I'm like, fuck. Anyways, the spectrum that you do. See, I did it again there. The spectrum of a session that you do and do not get benefit from is so much wider than the spectrum between a session that you view as a success or as a failure. And a lot of time, this will kind of go into the mindset stuff, but a lot of the time the problem that people have is they need to see improvement every session. And they put too much pressure on themselves going into all their high intensity, and it's very demotivating for them. And sometimes knowing the spectrum of the actual speeds you can hit and knowing the kind of range that you can hit, that really helps. Get motivated to do it. And actually, if you just start sometimes at a lower speed and you build and build and build, you can end up having a really good session. So the important thing with high intensity is cracking it out consistently. And to put it generally, you just need to work a bit harder than UT1, a bit harder than mid-intensity, and you will be getting the benefit from it, and do that consistently. There you go. That's the biggest thing, is do this all consistently, all this stuff I'm talking about. But yeah, cool. That's that covers it for training zones, I think. Weak areas. So, if you know, I think we've shared some of these resources before. Comment below if you haven't had them, but and I can send over the link. But for low intense, so for your weak areas, generally, if you're high intensity, the way you can do this yourself is go and look at Concept 2, look at all the data, and compare yourself to your age group's world record for 1K, 2K, and no, don't do it for 1K because you get lots of gym rats doing 1Ks. That sounds like a mean thing to say. Lots of gym beasts or whatever, huge like strongmen or whatever, going and doing the 1K. So that's not a fair data bank. But go and compare 2K, 5K, 6K, 30 minute, and look at your spread and figure out relatively how, where is your strengths, where is your weaknesses, and plan sessions that target those weak areas. The only caveat to this, and this is true for me, is that even if, say endurance is your strength, if endurance is your strength, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go and improve your top end power. A lot of the time, continuing to work on your strengths is what's best. Is generally like improve your endurance for rowing. That's the majority of a race, and keep improving that even if it's already good. My endurance compared to my peak power was always a lot better, and what I found was that that's what I needed to work on. That's what I responded best to. Likewise, we have some people where their top end power is really good, but they still respond really well to doing top end power work, anaerobic work on the erg. So yeah, that's just a little caveat. I don't mean that to confuse people more, but generally you do want to, and like target your weak areas. Anything more than 4 weeks out from a race, you should be targeting your weak areas and working on those and just moving. You've got kind of all your areas, and whatever they are, you just want to move one up, and then that becomes the average, and then move them all up, and then probably one will lag, and then move the other one up. So that's a big thing with long-term planning as well. That kind of links in. Technique. So I understand there's people out there that are indoor rowers only, and that there's obviously outdoor rowers, I guess you'd call them. We work with indoor rowers and outdoor rowers, so I'm aware that there's different audiences slightly. So we'll start with the rowing machine, which obviously applies to both, and then we'll go into the boat stuff. But I think indoor rowers should listen to the boat stuff as well, because it can give you a different perspective, a different angle on what works. So indoor rowers, get your sequencing right. Arms away, then your body, then your slide. Hold that posture going in. When you rock forward, this is a big one. Transfer your weight from the back of the seat to the front of the feet. Get that connection on the foot plate. This is good for outdoor rowers because it really helps with balance as well. It helps get your weight down low. If you think about someone like me with this massive head, my balance was never that great because of my high center of gravity. If I would just look one way, the boat would go down. So you want to get your weight down low, and part of doing that is rocking and getting that weight onto the foot plate. This also really helps with connection onto the foot plate as well. Hold your body still as you go into the catch. If you do that right before you take the catch, the first thing you're going to do on the way out is you're going to open with your shoulders. You don't want that. You want to load through your legs. The other thing when you rock forward is get your glutes activated, and then hold the weight on the foot plate and your glutes activated. Keep your body still, stay loose. Go into the front and hang, and you want to get this idea of squeezing and not trying to like break it from the first kind of drive, but that squeeze and drive and leg push, and this idea of getting your weight off the seat. Imagine like literally it's just like this. Put your arm, if you're watching me right now in a chair, you can join in. Everybody join in. Or if you're listening to this on audio, I guess you're kind of screwed, but just like stand. Like imagine you're on the foot plate right now and you've rocked over, you got your weight on your feet, you squeeze your glutes, you got your glutes on, and you literally just stand like that. That's what you want. Who stands up from a chair like this? Like you just get up, like you just stand. Like that's kind of the same idea, and then you build throughout the stroke. So you can think about the catch, the leg drive as standing out of a chair. So do that. And then as you drive, keep your body forward, use all of your legs, and then when your legs are nearly done, open with your back and lean and press, and as you open through your back, press through your feet. And you want to make sure that you don't just finish your legs, your weight goes down on the seat, and you just tug it through. You need to keep that connection and that suspension through the foot plate, and open with your back. That hip opening is the strongest motion the human body can do. So use it in the boat. And then arm draw. Make sure that even when you're doing this, that it's still pressed through the feet, and you're maintaining that connection through your hips. Do all this while you're loose as well. So like as you rock forward, as you row forward, keep loose here. Don't row forward and go tense. Same when you're at the front and you drive. Don't drive up here. You need to keep this loose as you drive. So yeah, that's a crash course on how to row better on the rowing machine. If you're an outdoor rower, do everything I said there and take that into the boat as well. It's 100% applicable. The stuff with the boat, take the blade out square, then turn the blade feathered. You will get so much faster if you do this, and so many people do not do this. I hear the coaches that talk about how you should feather in the water. Why? That makes no sense. Just like think about it. Like, you know, they say that you want to do that because you can maintain connection for longer. That's only true if you're slow to take your hands out. If you're slow with this motion, then that's a problem. Their argument for you to take the blade out, you know, you need to start kind of going like that and you're losing connection. No, just hold it in. And then when you get here, do that quickly. The problem is that people, when they come through with a blade, they do that square blade exit slowly. Like the argument for not doing this is that you're maintaining connection. It means you can, even as you turn your hands, you can keep that connection. But the problem is, if you've got your blade turned under the water like this, and you've got this water above your spoon, think about it. If you push your hands down like that to get it out, and you push that down, what's going to happen is you lever the boat into the water and the bows just go boom, and it feels like shit. Don't do that. I don't get why these coaches tell you to do this stuff. Anyways, hold the blade in square right until the very end, and then take the blade out square and do it quick. You don't have to go poof down hard. You just have to be like that, quick and surgical and precise. Lots of drills doing tapping. Ingrain that motion into your head. Free speed. Don't listen to those idiots that tell you to take the blade out feathered. And then once you do that, tap it out. Keep the shape there. And then keep that shape the whole way. Colin Williamson, thank you for this. I owe you. I need to, you need to send me that invoice for this drill that I teach people all the time. But keep the space there. So yeah, actually, this is what Ricky really taught me. The coach made a huge difference for me in the start. He taught me take the blade out square. And yes, it's literally this simple. If you do this well, you will go so much faster. Take the blade out square, then turn it feather. That's what Ricky taught me. And then Colin taught me keep the blade there and then square early. Like literally do that, and you will go so much faster. The last thing I actually kind of learned from Will Fletcher is how you load the spoon. This is a guy I rode the double with, a former GB lightweight rower who was very good. Most stubborn man I've ever met in my life, but really good technical rower. He talked about how when you're squared and prepared and you place on the way forward, I don't know how I'm going to cover this simply because it's a whole nother video on its own, but the idea of if you think about you sit at the front and you lift your hands straight up and down, the blade's going to go like this, straight up and down. There's not going to be any backsplash. If you do that, that's the straight up and down motion you want. When the boat starts moving, you get water moving in and you get this splash happening, and that backsplash is impossible to not get without disrupting the run of the boat. So that's what you want to look for. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cover this because it's like literally a whole nother 30-minute video, and we're already 25 minutes in, and there's still other stuff I want to talk about. But look for the backsplash. That's a sign you're putting your hands in straight. The second thing is when you got that backsplash, if you look, you'll have the gap of air here on the front of the spoon when you've backsplashed the blade in. You want that gap to fill up with water and then push. The problem is if you go and you're not quite in the water and you push, you're pushing on air, or if you go all the way in and then you go immediately, you're still pushing on that air gap. And what happens if you push when there's no connection? You just kick the stern, and imagine you had your blades in the air and you just kick the stern as hard as you can, and as an exaggeration, the stern goes that way, not that way. So yeah, do it relaxed. That's the problem. Is when people try this, they try it tensed and they kill the run of the boat. do that relaxed. And then the exact same as what we talked about in the erg. Drive through your hips, hang, stand, build, push through your feet, use your glutes, open your back leg, draw through your arms, and then same again. That is literally it. If you do that stuff on the erg and you do Tokyo parked. Oh my god, I'm getting fired up here. I should have started the video with this much energy. If you do that on the erg, and in the single, you will go so much faster. If you take the blade out square, you turn it feathered, you keep the shape, you square the blade, you put it in on the way forward, you wait for the air to fill, and then you push, like the same way you do in the erg, where you're loose and you push through your feet and you drive through your hips and you keep your hips activated, and you drive with your legs first, and then you open with your back by using your glutes and press through your feet, and then press and draw through your arms. And then take the blade out square and do that again. You will go so quickly. Okay? And you long-term plan and you get the weekly structure right and you get your training zones right. Like, this is it. This is what it takes to go faster. This is what we do, and it's literally like this simple, and it works. I'm telling you everything right now. Okay, and then mindset. Hold on. Okay, round 2. We're nearly there. Mindset. So, the biggest thing with mindset is your ability to handle external factors. External factors are, you feel like shit in the morning of a race. That's an external factor. You can't control it. Your teammate is being an arsehole. You can't control them. Whatever. Your competition is, I don't know, like they're really good and you're focusing on them. That's an external factor. The wind is really bad. You are really tired. You're really nervous. You don't feel that good. Someone's telling you negative things. You had a stressful day at work the day before. Maybe your equipment isn't quite optimal. All that stuff does not matter. Stop paying attention to it. First thing is stop talking about it. The first thing you can do right now to improve your mindset, and this is when the path of good mental health and rowing mindset cross. You would never want to do this in normal life, of course, but see these problems, don't talk about them. Just don't speak about it. I did the last video, I was talking about this. Just don't speak about it. Don't say, oh my god, it's so windy. Don't say that anymore. Oh my god, they're so good. They're going to beat us. Stop saying that. Oh my god, I feel so tired. Stop saying that. You're just speaking it into existence more. You're drawing so much more of your attention to it. Stop it. Just don't do it. Just don't say it. That's literally it. If that's one thing to take away, you will improve your mindset. The next thing is your attention. Where is it going? I did a video on this recently, so I don't need to go into it too much, but don't wait until the race to try and get this right. Find situations in training where you can practice responding to an external factor and shifting it back onto something that you can control. So, you need to find things in training that are external factors. You can never replicate a race the way you can in training. So you need to find other external factors that you can respond to. And you need to have something that's simple and clear and a process that you can focus on that's within your control to shift your focus back onto. The big thing is to not try and ignore the external factors. Don't try and fight the external factors. I think the thing that people get wrong is they try to they expect themselves to have quote a good mindset, and Stephen Feeney told me off for this. Sorry Stephen, I don't know how else to describe it. He says you shouldn't say good and bad mindset, there's just different thoughts. Anyways, the way he talks about you should describe, or where was I there? I literally just lost my train of thought. The way the problem that people have is they expect a good mindset is about never being distracted by anything. They think that Olympians can sit on a start line and the crew shoots off 10 lengths ahead and they don't recognize it, or there's a massive headwind and it feels terrible and they don't get distracted by it. They do. The difference is their response to that, and they can respond so quickly to that because they found reps in training where they can practice it. Go into training and practice your response to external factors, shifting it onto something you can control. That's what we do when we coach people. We say, this is an external factor in your training that you can build your response to. You need to then accept it. You need to then shift your focus onto something that you can control, that you know you can do right now with in any situation. The other thing we can do is visualization. I won't go into that too much because it requires a lot of detail, and people will probably just go, oh yeah, visualization. Yeah, I've heard of that before. If you just went, you probably haven't done it in enough detail. You can create like any situation in your head and practice how you respond to it. And the real powerful thing is you can create an extreme situation. So if you struggle, sorry, Tokyo is going mental in the background. He needs to go for a walk. Hold on a second here. Sorry. You can create, if you struggle in wind in your head, you can create like literally like the North Sea, or like, sorry, I don't know if people know the North Sea. You can create the Atlantic Ocean in your head, and you can practice racing through the Atlantic Ocean using visualization. Like, you can create extreme situations that build your response to it. So that's a really powerful thing with visualization. You want to be very specific, very detailed. The stronger of an image you can create in your head, the better. So that's another big mindset thing. And then the other one is failing, strategic failing, we call it. Make the objective of session. So this is how you push yourself. The way that you get better at racing is you get better at getting really close to the line of your limit and staying really close to that line for as long as possible. That's how you race well. The only way you get close to that line is you need to know where that line is. So you need to have a clear understanding of where that line is. The only way you can do that is by crossing the line. If you think about your line and there's a bunch of dirt on it, and every time you fail, you're crossing that line, you brush a bit of dirt off of it. You need to fail more in training. How do you fail in training? You go off too hard. So pick a pace that you know is too hard for you, go off, and fail, basically. It's important as well to not just set the ambiguous goal of, I'm going to fail on my 3x2K. Like, be specific with it, build with it, start off with a failing target that's less daunting, and then build from there. You build confidence, and you'll start going off like a lunatic in a good way. Make the objective of the session to fail. Like, make that the outcome and be clear on that. I think that's the last thing for mindset. I'm just thinking here, recovery, that's like, I've gone through like quite important areas. Recovery is a big one, of course, but I feel like it's a lot less important than the long-term planning, weekly structure, training zone, weak areas, technique, and mindset. So I think we'll just leave it, to be honest, because it's already too long of a video. So I'll do another video on recovery another time. I'll give you a short, brief recovery rundown. Sleep more. If you can't sleep more consistently. If you can't sleep more, improve your behaviors before bed, make that more consistent, whether that's socializing or watching TV or whatever it is. Alcohol is huge. Don't drink alcohol before bed if you can. Caffeine, don't have caffeine after 12 p.m. And then eat well, eat lots of vegetables. Everybody can eat more vegetables. Eat frozen vegetables. They're so easy, they don't go off. And fuel well, eat good carbs. Don't shy away from carbs. Don't listen to the bullshit advice from bodybuilders who are stepping on stage with 1% body fat and not doing an endurance sport which requires fueling and actually powering your body to like do insane shit. Don't listen to that stuff, unfortunately. And there's so many coaches out there that just give such bad advice on how you should fuel. Carbs, you need carbs. Like, you're an endurance athlete, you need to fuel your engine with carbs. I can understand that can be a tricky area for people, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But okay, right. I hope that was that was valuable for you. Covered quite a lot here. And yeah, if you've gotten to the end, that's impressive. The harder thing is going to be actually implementing this. So you're probably going to need to go through and rewatch this again. Likewise, if you've gotten this far and you find our stuff helpful, so we've had a structure change with our coaching as well, where essentially finally for the past year, we've been working on expanding to meet demand. So we finally gotten to that point. If you're interested in working with us, so yeah, what that has meant is that our books are pretty much always been shut. Now where our capacity is increased, so we're able to look at potential people who could be good fits. We're quite fussy on who we work with. So despite the capacity being there, we need to be sure that we can get someone results. We need to be sure that they're going to be a good fit for our community. We need to be sure that we're going to enjoy working with them as well, because it's as much for us as it is for the athlete. So it's got nothing to do with ability or skill or what their goals are. It's everything to do with attitude and people's motivation. So if you're interested in possibly working with us, if you want to find out more, head to the link in the bio, and you can book in a call with me, and I'll chat you through kind of how we work. But then I'll also be asking you lots of questions about you and your training, and what it looks like, what your setup's like. Aim to give you value on the call as well, so that no matter what, if we find you're a good fit or not, you'll be walking away with something regardless. So quite like getting the chance to speak with people one-to-one and hear a bit more about your training. So if that's of interest of you, if you're curious and you just want to find out a bit more, happy to have a conversation with you about what that could look like. So head to the link in the bio and book in a chat. But like I said, we'll keep this content coming as well. So there's going to be loads of value coming. I'm probably going to commit to two YouTube videos a week instead of just the one, as well as the podcast. So that's exciting. So plenty more value to come. And yeah, okay, right. Like and subscribe the video if you liked it. And yeah, comment any thoughts that you thought. This is probably one of my longest ones. I'm tired, man. I need to go have a nap. Now I'm going to go take Tokyo for a walk because I finished my morning block, and then I'm going to have lunch, and I don't know why I'm telling you this. Oh, and I got, whatever. If you're still here, I'm sorry. Windtech have hooked me up with a boat, so I'm going to be getting out rowing more. So I'm probably going to go this Wednesday today. I'm going to go for a row on Saturday. So I'll film that and film some technical stuff as well. That'll be cool. Yeah. Okay. Right. Bye, everybody. Cheers.